this evening, we're diving into the opioid epidemic devastating our community.
Every time I do a funeral, I think about my son. Every time I do a funeral of an overdose, that call at 2:30 in the morning rings in my ear. And it's tough, but I know that I have to do it. I have to do something to bring comfort to the family.
Asking the questions on everyone's mind.
Should this stay criminalized?
And finding hope.
Those testimonies where people have really come out of that and they're doing great now. They're married now, they got kids, they have great jobs and things. I'm like, yes, yes.
But first,
if I'm a parent watching this, I say, well, that wouldn't be my kid. Obviously, it could be. And so how do we prevent that? Was any of this preventable?
Yes, I think it was.
How?
I think that Big Pharma swooshed into town, small towns, targeted certain areas, glamorized it. This is the, end-all be-all for pain. We created a society on a scale of 1 to 10. What's your pain? Here, take this, take that. And kids are getting hooked for sports injuries, and before you know it, we have an epidemic on our hands right here in small town USA.
Pharmaceutical companies have been rapacious in promoting narcotic-based medications to the physicians by also offering all sorts of incentives and also keeping vital information, not just from the physicians, but perhaps they should have done their research as well, but from the general public. Basically stating these medications are not addictive. Only 1% of people who take oxycodone get addicted to them. That is a lie. That is a lie. So the first and foremost pharmaceutical company, and second of all, the big business drug dealers who bring these substances into communities all across the United States. I would never look down on a person who has used, who has tried, became addicted, and is finding himself or herself in a very difficult situation. Again, addiction is a brain disease and needs to be looked at as such.
Like other diseases, according to these folks, addiction comes with choices that can help or burden the disease.
The temptation was there, and I could not stop it. I would say, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it, but I would get sick, and I would go and do it. So it was a thing where I said, I have to change my people, places, and things.
But people die of cancer every day because of lifestyle choices, okay? Smoking, drinking, the way they eat. People die of heart disease every day because of choices that they've made. Some of these kids that we ridicule and families that we judge had no clue what they were getting into. There was absolutely zero education.
Her own daughter, no exception.
Ash didn't start out using heroin. She, was a lot of what, like a typical teenager. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. They party, and unfortunately, in that generation, Oxycontins and hydrocodone, they were readily available, and these kids had no idea what they were getting themselves into.
And teens of this generation saying the same thing.
Prevention requires education, talking to students in schools, talking about the incredible risks that opiates percent. For example, we had conducted informal focus groups and surveys with young people, people in grade 7 through 12. And we asked them, where do you get prescription medications from? Most of them narcotic-based. Where do you get them from? The great majority said from the doctor for surgical reasons, for pain management after surgery. We also, and additionally, these young people told us that they take them from their parents' home, they take them from their grandparents' home, as well as from the homes of their friends.
And Tanya, a mother who was shocked by her child's progression from quote-unquote party drugs to heroin.
I'm like, heroin? This is going to be awful.
Warns that while watching from afar, no one's off limits.
You know, everybody's going to die famous in a small town one way or another. So to them, it hasn't affected their perfect little world. Maybe alcohol has, maybe cocaine has, but oh God, we would never do heroin. Guess what? Alcohol, cocaine, they're just as bad. They just don't kill you as fast.
And that it's never too early to get in the know.
I was not educated about heroin. Why would I have to be? As a parent, you don't think that was ever going to come back into play. She knew that it was bad. She knew, but she was addicted. Kids live in horrifying conditions now, and we don't pry enough.
Pastor Jeff Smith echoing the same sentiment.
We live in an area where drugs are prevalent. They're all around us. They're all around this church, all around the neighborhood. And as I told you before, I pick up needles in the alley and in the back parking lot just about daily.
So where do we go from here?
I think that we've handled it wrong. I think our system has handled it wrong. And I think that we've gotten it wrong for a long time. So while I think that, you know, politicians and lawmakers are trying to do the right thing, I think they're missing the forest for the trees. And I think they're making the problem worse. I definitely see reforms such as the bail reform law. While I understand the reason behind it, and the practical application of it is that people aren't getting the services that they used to get while they were in jail. The system has no teeth anymore, so we can't help people the way that we used to be able to help people. So I think that, you know, in addition to drug dealers, I think that, you know, some of the lawmakers are to blame for the mess that we're in.
This conversation continues after the break.